Ever had a woman completely ignore you? No reply, no explanation, just silence. Feels frustrating, right? You send a message, you wait, you check your phone again and again, but nothing. Meanwhile, she's online, posting, active, but for some reason, she's not replying to you. That sinking feeling starts creeping in, the one that makes you question everything. Did I say something wrong? Was I too eager? Should I have played it cooler? You replay every conversation, every text, trying to pinpoint the exact moment things went wrong. And the more you overthink, the worse you feel. This is where most men get stuck. They let the silence control them. They let one unanswered message determine their mood, their confidence, even their self-worth. And that's the real issue. Not that she's ignoring you, but that you're letting it affect you. You start seeking validation, wondering what you can do to win her attention back. Maybe if you send another message. Maybe if you act differently. Maybe if you just knew what she was thinking. But here's the truth. Chasing answers never works. It only makes you look desperate and weak. The more you chase, the more she pulls away. But what if you didn't need an answer? What if you didn't care whether she replied or not? That's where Stoicism changes everything. Because the problem isn't her ignoring you, it's how you react to it. A Stoic man doesn't let someone else's behavior dictate his emotions. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't sit around waiting, and he definitely doesn't let silence shake his confidence. He stays focused on what he can control: his mindset, his actions, his purpose. He understands that validation comes from within, not from someone else's response. And that's exactly what you're going to learn. By the end of this, you'll know how to handle being ignored in a way that actually increases your value. You'll see why ignoring her back isn't the solution, but true self-control is. You'll discover how to shift the power back into your hands, not through manipulation or games, but by becoming the kind of man who commands respect without saying a word. Let's get started. When a woman ignores you, the first instinct most men have is to take it personally. You assume it's because of something you did wrong, some mistake you made, or something you could have done better. This is the biggest mistake you can make. Because in reality, her silence is rarely about you, it's about her. The truth is, people have their own reasons for acting the way they do, and most of the time those reasons have nothing to do with you. But when you believe that her ignoring you is a reflection of your worth, you give away all your power. So why is she ignoring you? There are a few possibilities. One of the most common reasons is that she's testing you. Women, often without even realizing it, test men to see how emotionally strong they are. They want to know if you're the kind of guy who remains in control, or if you're the type who crumbles under pressure. When she pulls away, does it shake your confidence? Do you panic and start chasing? Or do you remain calm and unaffected? How you handle the silence tells her everything she needs to know about you. Another reason could be that she's simply busy or not as interested as you thought. Life happens. Work, friends, family, personal struggles. Sometimes people don't respond because they genuinely have other priorities. Or in some cases, she's just not as invested as you are. And while that might sting, it's actually a blessing in disguise because it saves you from wasting time on someone who isn't equally interested. Then, there's the validation factor. Some women ignore men just to see if they'll chase. They want to feel wanted, to confirm they have control over your emotions. If you take the bait and start double texting, over-explaining, or trying harder to get her attention, you're proving that she holds the power. And once she knows she has control, her interest usually fades. But here's the key. None of these reasons actually matter. What matters is how you respond. The moment you stop trying to figure out why and start focusing on yourself, everything changes. This is where Stoicism becomes your greatest advantage. A Stoic man understands that external validation, whether a woman replies or not, means nothing. He doesn't need reassurance from others because his confidence comes from within. When you detach from the need for approval, you become unshakable, and that's exactly the kind of man people respect, admire, and ironically, chase after. Human nature is wired to value what is scarce and overlook what is too easily available. This is true in every area of life, whether it's luxury items, career opportunities, or relationships. When something is rare, people naturally want it more. When something is always available, they take it for granted. Women, just like anyone else, are drawn to what they perceive as valuable. And value is directly linked to scarcity. If you're always available, always texting first, always seeking her attention, she starts seeing you as something common, something she doesn't have to work for. But when you create space, when you become a man who is focused on his own life, your value in her eyes rises. The biggest mistake men make is reacting emotionally when a woman ignores them. They panic, feel rejected, and scramble to fix it. They double text, ask what's wrong, or try harder to impress her. But all of these reactions scream one thing: neediness. And neediness is the fastest way to lower your value. The moment she senses that you are emotionally dependent on her response, the power shifts entirely in her favor. It's not about playing games or pretending not to care. It's about genuinely understanding that your worth isn't determined by her attention. Power in any relationship dynamic isn't about control or manipulation. It's about who has the stronger frame. When she ignores you and you remain calm, indifferent, and unshaken, you hold the stronger frame. You show that your confidence isn't tied to her response. And paradoxically, this makes you more attractive. Women respect men who don't crumble under pressure. They are naturally drawn to men who have their own path, their own mission, and don't seek validation from anyone. This is exactly what Stoicism teaches. A Stoic man never begs for attention, never seeks approval, and never allows external events to dictate his emotions. He doesn't chase, he attracts. He understands that true power lies in self-control. Instead of trying to prove his worth to someone else, he focuses on becoming a better version of himself every day. And in doing so, he naturally becomes the kind of man people, including women, gravitate toward. The moment you internalize this mindset, you stop worrying about who is ignoring you because you know that you are always in control of the most important thing, yourself. Most men don't realize that their biggest weakness isn't being ignored. It's how they react to it. The moment a woman pulls away, they panic. They start double texting, asking if something is wrong or trying harder to get her attention. And when that doesn't work, frustration kicks in. They get upset, overanalyze every interaction, and start questioning themselves. This emotional spiral doesn't just lower their confidence, it destroys their perceived value. When a man reacts impulsively to being ignored, he reveals his emotional dependence on her response. And the more emotionally dependent he is, the less attractive he becomes. True emotional control is the opposite of this. It's being unshaken, focused, and indifferent to external approval. A man with emotional control doesn't seek reassurance. He doesn't let someone else's actions dictate his mood or self-worth. He understands that being ignored isn't a reflection of his value. It's simply a situation that he can choose how to respond to. And the best response is almost always calm detachment. When a woman ignores you and you react with indifference, you communicate something powerful. You are a man who doesn't need validation. That alone sets you apart from most men. Stoicism teaches that emotions should never be in control. Logic should. When faced with a situation that triggers an emotional response, a Stoic man pauses. He observes the feeling, but doesn't act on impulse. Instead, he asks himself, is this reaction necessary? Does it serve me? Does it change the outcome? If the answer is no, he lets the emotion pass without acting on it. This level of emotional resilience is rare, and that's why it's so attractive. A man who can remain calm no matter what happens stands out. He commands respect without demanding it. Imagine two men in the same situation. Both text a woman they're interested in. She doesn't reply. The first man immediately overthinks. He starts questioning himself, wondering what went wrong, and finally sends another text just to check in. The second man, however, does nothing. He continues his day as if nothing happened. Days go by and eventually the woman reaches out. Which man do you think has the stronger position? The second one. Why? Because he demonstrated self-respect. He showed that his confidence isn't tied to her attention. He made it clear, without saying a word, that he is in control of himself. That is the power of emotional control. Most men think that when a woman ignores them, they have to do something to fix it. They believe that if they just send the right message, show more interest, or prove their worth, she'll start paying attention again. But this mindset is exactly why they lose power in the situation. The truth is, the most powerful thing you can do when a woman ignores you is nothing. That's right, silence is stronger than any reaction. When you do nothing, you send a clear message. You are unaffected. You are not desperate for her response. You are not seeking her approval. And that, paradoxically, makes you more attractive. Most men panic when they don't get a reply. They try to re-engage the conversation, come up with excuses to text again, or even ask outright if something is wrong. But this only confirms that they are emotionally dependent on her response. A man who is truly confident and self-sufficient doesn't chase. He simply moves forward. This isn't about playing games or trying to manipulate her into responding. It's about maintaining your own dignity and self-respect. A woman is far more likely to notice and respect a man who remains unbothered than one who keeps reaching out for her attention. Stoicism teaches that external events, including how others treat you, are outside of your control. What you can control is your reaction. Instead of focusing on why she's ignoring you, shift your focus inward. Ask yourself, am I living in a way that makes me proud? Am I focused on my own goals, growth, and happiness? When you truly embrace this mindset, whether she replies or not becomes irrelevant. You stop seeing rejection as something personal and start seeing it as just another neutral event in life, something you acknowledge but don't let affect your emotional state. And here's the ironic part. Walking away doesn't make you less attractive. It makes you more attractive. When a man walks away from a situation where he is not being valued, he communicates something powerful. He has options. He is a man of self-respect. And in many cases, the moment a woman realizes that he isn't chasing, that he isn't waiting around for her, she starts to see him differently. Suddenly, she wonders why he isn't affected. Why isn't he reacting like other men? And that curiosity alone shifts the power dynamic back in his favor. At the end of the day, the goal isn't to manipulate someone into wanting you. The goal is to become the kind of man who doesn't need external validation in the first place. When you embody this mindset, everything changes. Women notice, people respect you, and most importantly, you respect yourself. Most men don't realize that the less they need, the more powerful they become. The moment you stop seeking validation, approval, or reassurance from a woman, your value in her eyes skyrockets. This isn't about pretending to be indifferent. It's about genuinely reaching a place where you are content within yourself. When a man is truly self-sufficient, when his happiness doesn't depend on whether someone texts him back or not, he becomes magnetic. Women can sense neediness a mile away, and nothing kills attraction faster. But when they sense a man who is completely at ease, who doesn't seek anything from them, they become intrigued. Stoicism teaches that the only thing you truly own is your mind. You can't control how people treat you, whether they stay or leave, whether they admire you or ignore you. The more you try to force outcomes, the more you push them away. But when you detach from needing a specific result, you gain an unshakable confidence. This is the mindset of a man who doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't reveal too much, he doesn't over-explain himself, and he never puts his emotions in someone else's hands. He moves through life with a quiet, effortless presence that demands respect. Developing this level of detachment doesn't mean you become cold or emotionless. It means you learn to enjoy connections without clinging to them. One of the best exercises for cultivating this mindset is simple. Practice holding back. When you feel the urge to overshare, stop. When you feel the need to seek reassurance, resist. When you catch yourself overanalyzing someone's behavior, shift your focus to something productive. The more you do this, the more control you gain over yourself. And the more control you have over yourself, the less power anyone else has over you. Another key to maintaining this sense of detachment is embracing mystery. A mistake many men make is laying everything out too soon. talking too much, revealing their every thought, and trying too hard to impress. But true confidence doesn't need to explain itself. A man who moves with purpose, who speaks only when necessary, who isn't quick to reveal his emotions, becomes someone people want to understand. Instead of giving away everything at once, let people discover you over time. Keep a part of yourself unknown. The less you say, the more impact your words have. At its core, controlled detachment is about shifting your mindset from seeking to being. You are not trying to get something from others. You already have everything you need within yourself. And when you truly embrace this, you become the kind of man who naturally commands respect, attention, and attraction without ever having to chase it. A man without a mission is a man easily swayed by emotions, distractions, and the need for external validation. When a woman ignores you, the average man falls into a spiral of overthinking, wondering what he did wrong, checking his phone constantly, and letting his mood depend on her response. But a man with a mission? He barely notices. He's too focused on his own path to let something so small shake his foundation. This is the core difference between those who chase and those who attract. Women are naturally drawn to men who are driven, who have a sense of purpose beyond seeking their attention. Your purpose must always come before any woman. This doesn't mean you neglect relationships or become emotionally unavailable, but it does mean that your primary focus should be on your growth, your goals, and the impact you want to have in this world. A man who is deeply involved in his work, his passion, and his self-improvement doesn't have time to sit around wondering why someone isn't texting him back. He's too busy building himself into someone she would regret losing. This is the power of having a mission. When your energy is directed towards something meaningful, you automatically stop seeking validation from others. Stoicism teaches us to control what we can and let go of what we can't. And one of the best ways to apply this is by shifting your focus away from things you can't control, like whether she replies or not, and towards something you can, yourself. Every minute spent worrying about someone else's actions is a minute wasted that could have been used to improve yourself. Redirecting your energy from overthinking into self-improvement is what separates men who stay stuck in frustration from those who rise above it. Instead of checking your phone, hit the gym. Instead of dwelling on her silence, learn a new skill. Instead of wondering why she's acting distant, build something that makes you proud. As you do this, something interesting happens. People, especially women, start to see you differently. When you're completely focused on your mission, your presence changes. You become more confident, more disciplined, more intriguing. You carry yourself with a sense of purpose that makes others respect you. And women, whether they realize it or not, are drawn to this kind of energy. They respect a man who is too busy improving his life to be bothered by small emotional tests. They admire a man who doesn't need them but chooses to have them in his life on his own terms. The truth is, when you put your mission first, you no longer need to chase. Your growth naturally attracts the right people into your life. You become the kind of man that women take seriously, not because you're playing games, but because you are fully invested in something greater than seeking their attention. And in doing so, you gain something far more valuable than temporary validation. You gain self-respect, purpose, and the kind of inner strength that no one can take away from you. At the end of the day, the way you handle being ignored says everything about you. Most men fall into the trap of chasing, overthinking, or trying to fix the situation, but the truth is, none of that works. The more you react emotionally, the more power you give away. The secret isn't in playing games or pretending not to care. It's in genuinely not letting it affect you. A Stoic man understands that he can't control other people, only his own responses. And that's where true strength lies. When a woman ignores you, it's not a signal for you to prove yourself or beg for her attention. It's an opportunity to practice self-control. It's a test of your emotional strength. And most importantly, it's a chance to show yourself that your value isn't dependent on anyone else's validation. By staying calm, maintaining your confidence, and focusing on your own mission, you naturally become more attractive. Not just to her, but to everyone around you. People respect those who respect themselves. If there's one thing to take away from this, it's that you should never let someone else's actions dictate your sense of self-worth. Ignore the games, master your emotions, and focus on building the best version of yourself. The more you do that, the less you'll care about who is or isn't giving you attention, because you'll know that the right people will always recognize your value without you having to prove it. So start applying these principles today. The next time you're faced with silence, don't react. Don't seek validation. Simply move forward with confidence, knowing that your energy is best spent on things that truly matter. If you commit to this mindset, you'll find that life becomes much simpler, and you'll naturally attract the respect, admiration, and connections that align with your highest self. If you found this valuable, make sure to subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. Stay strong, stay focused, and always remember, your power lies in how you choose to respond.